Football has always been a passion for me, and where it went in regards to ending up in the VFL was just a bonus. What's most important for me was footy is just about friends and community and relationship.
M Fox is braving the Melbourne cold for Tuesday night footy training. 10 years ago, she thought she'd never play again.
I always found playing in men's teams challenging. Even though I might have been presenting outwardly as a masculine identity, it was not how I felt, and being in that hyper-masculine environment was very uncomfortable. So when I decided not to play football anymore, I thought that was going to have a lot of finality to it.
She went on to become the first openly transgender woman to play football in the VFL.
There weren't too many out transgender women as far as we know, but Melbourne University Football Club has had a lot of transgender athletes playing for this club long before I was even playing women's football. So yeah, this place here has been really at the forefront.
I think the percentage of trans or gender diverse players in our club is probably somewhere between 5 to 10%.
The Melbourne University Football Club is the second oldest in Australia and has had a women's team since the 90s. Its policy is to welcome anyone who identifies as a woman or would feel most comfortable playing on a women's team.
I have only ever felt supported here. When I joined at a time I wasn't out in terms of being non-binary yet, so I guess I had the opportunity to make friends and then explore gender identity through that.
Not every sport or club is so welcoming. Last month, swimming's world governing body Fina voted to bar transgender women from elite women's competition if they'd experienced any part of male puberty. International Rugby League followed suit, and cycling's governing body set stricter rules around testosterone levels and transition times for transgender athletes.
I understand the need for people participating in elite sport to have guidelines and policies. However, at the moment, there are very, very few trans people competing at that level. And how's the hormone therapy going?
It's going really well, actually.
Ada Chung is an endocrinologist and researcher who's preparing to study the impacts of transitioning on fitness, strength and athletic performance.
After starting feminising hormone therapy, typically someone will develop softening of their skin, they'll develop decrease in muscle mass, decrease in muscle strength, an increase in fat mass, and change in the distribution of the fat to a more feminine pattern. People experience a fall in their blood count or their hemoglobin, which is the oxygen-carrying red blood cells that are important for endurance.
The science group behind Fina's policy change found transgender women had a performance advantage over female athletes if they underwent male puberty before transitioning. But it's unclear how they reached that conclusion. There are few public studies available, and the ones that are have major limitations. One, which is often cited, found the only real performance gap after 2 years of feminising hormones was that trans women ran 12% faster. But that looked at US military personnel, not athletes. Another found that trans women who underwent hormone therapy generally maintained their strength levels after 1 year, but that study didn't look at athletes either.
At this point in time in 2022, the evidence is not clear. I acknowledge that there may be a biological advantage, but there may also be a biological disadvantage. And so I often use the analogy, if you imagine a four-wheel drive, but it's being powered by a hatchback engine. So the muscle mass and the muscle strength is low, but the frame is bigger.
Before handing down its decision, Fina heard evidence from scientists, lawyers and elite female athletes, including Australian Olympic champion Kate Campbell.
It is my hope that young girls all around the world can continue to dream of becoming Olympic and world champions in a female category, prioritising the competitive cornerstone of fairness.
I think asking current athletes, coaches, officials to vote on this outcome is the equivalent of asking politicians to vote on their own pay rise.
MIANNE in 26.43.
Former swimmer and Commonwealth Games gold medalist MIANNE is frustrated with Fina's policy and worried about its impact.
It sends the message that it's okay to be transphobic. The role of sport within our community is to set an example, and the role of
elite athletes in our community is to be role models and to be inspirational. To exclude trans people from that teaches our community they're only worthy if they're cis individuals.
I have so much empathy for the sports administrators. They've really got a difficult task ahead of them.
MIANNE was the first openly trans woman to play a professional golf tournament at the Australian Open in 2004.
When I got into sport, obviously there was that requirement for surgery and 2-year ineligibility. In 2015, that changed to no surgery and 12-month ineligibility. Now, in some places, in some sports, it's going to merely self-ID with no medical intervention, and that's wholly unacceptable.
She's broadly supportive of Fina's policy, a view at odds with many in the transgender community.
Of course, everyone should have access to sport, but when you get to the elite level of sport, Olympic, professional, this is about people's livelihoods, earning monies and medals. This isn't a human right, this is a privilege. It doesn't matter what policy develops, someone is going to be discriminated against. And really, when it comes to women and girls sport, the one group that shouldn't be discriminated against is women and girls.
Sporting bodies are continuing to grapple with how to provide a level playing field for athletes. But trans and gender diverse players say the debate about them and their bodies has been anything but fair.
All we're trying to do is feel comfortable in our own skin and be a part of our communities and celebrate who we are as trans and gender diverse people. So when people say really horrible things about us mutilating our bodies or any sort of trying to unfair advantage in sport, we're not trying to do that at all. We're just trying to feel comfortable and do what we love with the people that we love.